it wasn't the regionals. Back when I played, there was sectionals and stuff. I scored 24 points in that game, and I don't know. Do you remember Mickey Drum?
I don't. Who was better,
Okay.
you and your sister?
Yes, in basketball.
Yeah.
Me.
Hey, we're live now. Hey, who's steering the ship?
I was better in basketball and softball. She was better in tennis since she throws it at my face. I'm the only one who got the ring.
Well, Jack, are you steering the ship tonight, or am I?
I think it's your week. You're back, first week back as the full-time host. I'm gonna let you steer the ship.
All right. Well, let's roll this new intro we got, and we'll come back on this other side ready to roll. Well, guys, as you can see, we got a little bit of a new intro. I think I went a little bit overboard, 1 minute 12 seconds. That's probably a pushing it for intro, but I'm happy with it, and it really showcases the team and what we try to do. But hey, guys, welcome back. We're on another Wednesday night, and got part of the team. Obviously, we're missing a couple key figures. But guys, welcome aboard. And what's on store for tonight, Jack?
I think we got a few videos. We got some discussion about the new realignment coming out tomorrow, and then an update on high school basketball. It's a full week and a full episode today.
Hey, and check out this. We're already getting comments from the fans. Like the new intro, John. Appreciate that, sir. Hey, got some more. Our good friend Roy Goodman in Indiana. Appreciate you there, sir. So hey, cool. I'm glad to know we've got some fans already that likes what we're doing. Good to be back here in the confines of the studio, bringing it. As many of you know, I've been away for a while, enjoying the desert life. Hey, and there you go. Captain Jack is back. Appreciate that, Steve. But anyway, I think we got a few things on hand tonight. Don't have a busy show because, like I said, we're missing a couple of our key figures. But Dina, I think we got enough going on and got enough content tonight. We can make it work.
I'm telling you, Chris done a lot of work on that intro. It's hard to follow something up like that. That makes you want to be right in the gym and the stadium. So
I like it.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate that. A little bit of work today, but that's all good. Chelsea, good to be back on here with you. How's things in the state capitol this evening?
It's good. I've been trying to get myself to some basketball games. All I have near me is Word of God that's allowing fans, but I know they're starting up some more home games, so hopefully I can go to those, cover on the Instagram. So it's going well. I started lacrosse too with masks, so it's interesting, but something.
Now, Chelsea, I know you've got your ear low to the ground with hoops right now, and you mentioned lacrosse. What's your conversations, or what's your impression from the ruling where the basketball players are wearing their masks during the games? Have you talked to any of the players and kind of found out their thoughts or opinions on it?
I haven't talked to any players on it specifically. I mean, I'm sure they have some thoughts and opinions on it, and it's definitely different than anything we've ever seen before. But I think as far as my side and playing lacrosse too, I think we can all agree that at least it's something. Some sports better than nothing.
Well, Jack, you just made the team at Richland, so obviously you're going to be practicing with that mask on. You give us your take on it, and does it impede your play? Does it impede the game? What's your thoughts?
I think once you practice with it for about a week and a few weeks, you'll get used to it. I think I have talked to a few players, and I'm just gonna say they don't like it. But I think the reality is, if they had to choose between wearing them in the game and not having season at all, most of them would choose to wear them in the game. I think right now, during the game, they're wearing it below their nose just because it's going to be really hard to breathe running down a court 100 times during a game with it over your nose. But I think right now the players, they like to put out there that they don't like it, but in reality, if we got to do it, then if that's what's going to make us be able to play, then we're going to do it.
Yeah. Sad to say, I think when it comes to running, and I do a lot of running these days, and even thinking back to when I was on different teams, I feel like I'm a mouth breather. So I think I would be the one struggling out there trying to catch my breath. We've got John Vestal here that says that my son is practicing football in it and is okay. So John, appreciate that feedback and for kind of chiming in and tuning in to us tonight to kind of give us that feedback. But, practicing in mask, playing in mask, I mean, again, it's just to show that this is just incredibly different times than anything we've ever seen in our lifetimes. And it's just adapt and overcome. And I guess we just got to get with the new era. And hopefully, and I'm not wanting to turn this into political at all because that's just not how I roll. But hopefully if practicing in mask and if people just wear the mask, hopefully we can eventually find a way to get past this because I don't want to be the one not to be playing football in February, and I hate to be looking ahead from basketball season. But boy, I want to get out there on that gridiron, even if it is cold. I like my hot football, my fall football, but I guess fall or spring football is better than no football.
Yeah, I think that's the whole reason about the mask. If we have to wear it to have a season, then let's do it. I mean, no, that's all we want in high school sports is the chance for these high school athletes. Even the players that don't really want to play at the next level and just want to be able to play their sport, their high school career, just let them have a chance to play and enjoy the sport. And if that means wearing a mask, then let them play.
Agreed. Well, Chelsea, we could talk a little bit of basketball first. You had a pretty good athlete that you spoke with this week and have put together an interview for us to see. Before we crank that video up, why don't you tell everybody who it was you spoke to and then just kind of give us a little bit of the breakdown on him.
Yeah, so I spoke to Kome Imobor, and last year he actually went to Enloe High School. So he played against Sanderson High School where I go, and he was just that kind of stand-up kid that was whooping us. And that's how he transferred to Ravenscroft. He had a stellar AAU season with Team E. Just a great athlete who I was able to get in touch with. And I hear he's getting a lot of interest. I don't think any Division I offers yet, but definitely interest. He's getting a lot of those. So he has a bright future ahead of him.
Well, outstanding. Well, let's go ahead and play the video, and then we'll talk about him a little bit more on the other side.
Cool. Thank you so much for joining, and this is the rundown by Chelsea Sipple from NC Preps. This week I'm introducing Kome Imobor, who's a recent transfer to Ravenscroft High School in their basketball program. You're stellar class of 23 athlete. You played Team EAU. Just amazing season overall. So the first question is, when did you begin playing basketball, and when did you realize it was a sport you could highly succeed in?
I began playing basketball from a really young age. I would probably say like maybe 3. And I always knew I could do something with basketball. Like I've always taken it serious.
Mm-hmm. All right. And then, like I said, your recent transfer to Ravenscroft High School. Congrats on the win yesterday too. Saw that.
Thank you.
So tell us about what your experience has been like so far at Ravenscroft, school and basketball wise.
Ravenscroft, it's been great. Like I love the atmosphere. The schooling is great. The basketball is good also. So I enjoy it. I get the best of both worlds.
Great. And then as an athlete and basketball player, how do you stand out and make an impact when you're in practice, in a game, anywhere on the court?
I just play hard no matter what. I just have a high motor, and I just compete all the time. It doesn't matter whether it's game or practice or workout. I'm just always going hard.
Great. So for some player comparisons, I know you've heard NBA player Victor Oladipo. So just evaluate on who you shape your game after, and is there anyone else you would compare yourself to?
Yeah, I watch a lot of D Wade, Victor Oladipo, Donovan Mitchell. So now I'm getting those comparisons. That kind of lets me know I'm doing something right.
All great players. And then what are your biggest goals this season as an individual player or team-wise?
As a team, just to win, and I honestly want to win a championship. And individually, just keep getting better and just keep getting recruited at higher levels.
Great. And then coming out of quarantine in March and an AAU season, what are some parts of your game that you've been working to improve on or just further develop?
Everything, from quarantine, I started from the roots and just made my way up and just kept working on every aspect of my game.
All right. And then what's a quote or phrase, motto, something you like to refer to just in basketball or in life?
There's one quote that's by Kevin Durant that says, hard work beats talent any other day. And I just live with that.
I like that. And then finally, what do you like to do in your free time outside of basketball?
Other than basketball, I like to read a little bit. I like to watch movies with my family, just hang out with my family mainly.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining. And again, to those watching, this is Koma Imobor from Ravenscroft High School, stellar athlete. Thank you so much for joining, and best of luck this upcoming season.
Thank you.
I don't know if I would attribute that quote to Kevin Durant, but he's correct that hard work beats talent when talent don't work. So I like the fact that he went straight to there with your quote, Chelsea. Dina, I got to tell you, though, I go away for a couple months and I come back and these guys are absolute pros at the interview. That's great work.
Well, we got a good group. Sorry, my camera went out for a minute. Sorry about that, but yeah, they've gotten better each week. They've got out in Chelsea finally got her taste of going out to a camp and actually doing one in person. So the Zooms are good, but always doing something in person makes it even better. So
Definitely.
yeah, it's been great seeing them grow as journalists. I'd say that.
No, great work, Chelsea. And I like the lineup of questions, the way you kind of move in and out and in different kinds of questions. And again, it doesn't always have to be about the sport specific, and just great job. I know you guys are doing great. And I feel that you're probably going to be on ESPN tomorrow the way you're growing, but I'm just happy to be here to watch it and learn a little bit about basketball, and also learn just how smart athletically you are with just knowing the ins and outs of the sport. You can tell that you're definitely in tune to it, and that's really, really cool to see.
I've told several people that, heck, Jack, he's been on here rattling off names of basketball, and I felt very inferior to him when we were. I filled in with Jamie Shaw one night for on their basketball show, and I'm like, maybe I don't need to talk. I'll just let Jack talk, and he say yes or no. So great job, you guys.
Chelsea, what's up on your agenda? Who are some of the athletes and games that you're hoping to see here in the next week, and maybe give us an idea of who you want to talk to for next week's show?
I haven't done a female athlete since Mallory Haynes, I think, from Davidson women basketball. So probably want to find another girl to do and shine some light on that. And then as far as games to go to, I mentioned earlier, Word of God has a series of home games. My camera's falling. But they played Liberty Heights, Henderson Prep, Combine Academy, which would be a huge game to go to. So all of those, hopefully I can get my tickets for.
Well, sweet. Well, we can't wait to see more of your work because, again, it's so stellar. So we'll kind of anxiously sit back here and see what you got for next week's show. And maybe we'll step up and have you guys do 2 a week. I don't know. Well, I don't want to overwork you, but
Right.
it's great. It's great seeing all the work that you guys are doing. Looks like we've got some more comments here. Let's see. Imagine living with Jack.
Miss Leary, I want to tell you something. You got a good kid, and I appreciate the pecans that y'all gave me in Raleigh.
Yes.
They were really good, really good. We appreciate them, and
Yeah.
just want to tell you thank you. But
Yeah.
yeah, your son, he knows a lot, so I think he's picked a good field to go to, and now he's actually on the JV team. So watch out.
It's it's definitely funny, like having this account where all these players follow me and stuff like that. And I also play high school basketball, and they probably wouldn't even know who I was if I walked up to them. I think it's pretty funny.
Well, a lot of the kids, you have to start somewhere. And like I said, a guy that I knowed about 4 or 5 years ago, he started with his own basketball tournament in honor of his mom, and now he's working as a scout with one of the NBA teams. I think the Pelicans.
Wow.
You know, so anything's possible. You keep working hard.
I know that same guy, by the way, Dina. And we've got more.
To be honest, my mind's went blank. I've kind of lost track of what his name is. I'll have to look it up. I'll probably remember it during the show.
But hey, it looks like we got Jack's fan club is growing even more. So I think that's pretty cool. But anyway, well, we're going to move on to our next interview. Earlier this afternoon, I had a chance to talk to a really good friend of mine who is one of the top sports writers in all of North Carolina. He graduated from UNC and covered UNC way back in the day. In fact, he was talking about his earlier days in covering the Tar Heels is when Roy Williams was just a graduate assistant, and talking about him having just a little tiny corner, little closet of an office at Carmichael Auditorium back in the day. And that part of the interview will be on YouTube later tonight because I can only limit our interviews online here to about 5 minutes. So you have to look at the rest of the interview later. But, I know some of you guys may not know Sammy Batten, but he has been writing about recruiting stuff long before the internet. In fact, he said back then he only had a couple magazines that came out a couple times a year. So he's really one of the pioneer guys in writing about recruiting way back in the day. So I'm anxious to get Sammy on here just to kind of share his career with you guys. He's got some great stories to tell. So without further ado, let me go ahead and crank up this interview, and we'll join you guys here on the other side. All right, guys, welcome back here. Obviously, you see I'm back in the saddle here, NC Preps, after being away for a little bit. But I wanted to kick off the show with a really big interview. I've got the King joining us, and by the King, I don't mean Richard Petty or Elvis Presley. I got the real King joining us, Sammy Batten, a long time Fayetteville Observer writer. And Sammy, I know you got some construction going on in there, and that's cool. I'm just happy to have you. But hey, welcome to the program tonight. Appreciate your time.
Oh man, it's always my honor to be in your presence, Chris. You know that.
Well, before I get started, I want to find out how you got the name the King. I've always known you. Russell Stone always calls you Sammy the King. I just wanted to kind of try to find out where that came from.
Well, that's a college nickname, and I'm not sure I can go into the details of it. So, but I was a member of the Pi Kappa Alpha fraternity at UNC, and during those days, I had my moments. And that's where that nickname came from.
Wow. Well, hey, that's cool. Sounds like you got some renovations going on there in the house, so that's going to be really cool. I'm glad they're working in this cold weather and not me. But 31 years I believe it was at the Fayetteville Observer. You used at the Robinsonia before that. I've seen you covering countless high school games. I really think of you as one of the top recruiting writers. I know that, they've got recruiting services and Rivals and Scout and all those guys, but I feel like you far exceeded what I've ever seen from them. Just kind of tell everybody, maybe from the recruiting standpoint, what enthused you so much about it, and what made you so in tune to the recruiting scene?
Well, Chris, I'm old enough that I go back to when there was nothing but recruiting magazines. I got started. Eddie Landreth, rest his soul, was doing the state rankings for Super Prep, which was a magazine covering recruiting across the country at the time, and he got so much other freelance work that he couldn't handle that, so he handed that off to me, and I was able to work with Alan Wallace, who was, again, one of the godfathers, I think, of college football recruiting across the country. He developed Super Prep into a really prominent magazine, and again, that came out twice a year, so that's the only recruiting news you kind of got back then, and so I kind of got into it then, and it just went on from there. As we went into the internet era, I wrote for our paper, but also several other websites, and have just enjoyed, watching kids develop from their high school into college, and many of them onto the NFL.
Oh, well, like I said, you've seen hundreds and hundreds of high school football games and other high school sports. Is there any one or two high school events or moments or games that you've covered that really stand out over the past third of a century or so that you've been writing about high school sports?
I'll tell you one, the one that I always tell people about, and again, I'm bad at remembering actual years, but I was covering South Robinson High School in the state 1A playoffs one year. And Vontae Leach, who wound up being a Super Bowl champion fullback with the Baltimore Ravens, Vontae was on that team. And I saw Vontae Leach run the ball 25 consecutive times on offense and still turn around and play defense in that game, which South Robinson won. But I actually asked Mike Brill, his coach, after the game. I said, Mike, were you trying to kill Vontae? Because, you just didn't give him a break. And that was one of the most incredible individual performances in games. And South Robinson went on to win that game. Vontae went on to East Carolina, had a great career there, and again, was a 3-time All-Pro in the NFL. But I've never seen an individual run the ball or be on the field for that many plays in a high school athletic event.
Well, you're the king, Sammy Batten. We appreciate you, and we'll try to catch up with you next time. And again, I want to thank Sammy Batten for getting on with me earlier today. We went about 15 minutes, but for time constraints, I could only get a little bit of it on here tonight. But Dina, I know you've been around as long as I have, maybe a little bit longer. And Sammy's one of those guys that's been covering sports in this state well since back in the 1980s and 90s.
He is the source. A few years ago, when I was doing the 25th anniversary book of what everybody knows is Arnold Solomon's book, I went to Sammy because I knew if anybody knows high school football, recruiting, and seeing all the kids, he was the one. And I asked him to do something. I didn't put him on the spot to rank them. He probably could if he wanted to. But I told him to give me like 50 or so of the top players that he had ever seen play high school football in North Carolina. And it was such an awesome list. I mean, there were guys on there that excelled in high school and college and in the pros. And then there was some that just excelled in high school and didn't really do very well in college or make it to the pros. And then you had some that did good in high school and college but didn't work out in the pros. But, there were so many, and I would love to hear him who his number one would be. I think I have an idea, and it's hard to not pick Mr. Julius Peppers. I know he had him up there at the top, but there's been so many great players. I mean, Chris Lee, Todd Gurley, some of the newer names. But you look in the past, when we was in Wilmington, there were a couple of really big names on that stadium down there at Legion, Sonny Jurgensen and Roman Gabriel. So North Carolina's always had some great, outstanding football talent, and Sammy has seen a lot of it.
Yeah, he certainly has. And, I've seen a lot as well. And let me bring the other guys back on just so we're not leaving them out of this, because I know they've seen some ball as well, probably not nearly as much as us. But, I don't know. Langston Works always likes to put me on the spot and ask me who I think the best player I've ever seen. And, in high school, a lot of times I'll say, Nick Maddox, because he was probably one of the best I had seen in Kannapolis and just his electricity and stuff. But I don't know. I mean, there's just so many out there. I've seen Todd Gurley up close. I've seen Julius Peppers in the Shrine Bowl. Zamir White may be the most flashy guy I've ever seen in high school. I don't know. It'd be hard for me to say I've seen a better running back than him.
Yeah, I mean, you wonder what would have happened if he hadn't got hurt. I know all Scotland County think that, but yeah, Zamir was a great high school running back. T.A. McClendon.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to watch him and see him for 4 years. So, and I mean, I'll go ahead and say one of my favorite high school football players. I got to meet him a few years ago, and Chris, can you guess who it is? My favorite high school football player.
Let's see.
And it was born out of a rivalry. I'm a Starmount girl, and so
I had
to pull against
Elkin. I've got so many hundreds and hundreds
of guys. Quarterback. It's Heath Schuler.
Oh, Heath
Schuler, Klein County.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, Elkin beat Starmount my senior year. It was the first time they had beat Starmount in like 10 years. Made a big deal, made T-shirts, playoffs. Swain County come up to Elkin, and I told my dad, I was like, I want to go see this Swain County team. All I hear is about this Heath Schuler. And he made me a fan that night. I always followed him. He had 2 more years at Swain. Followed him when he was at Tennessee, and really loved him when the Redskins drafted him. And yeah, Washington now. But I got to eventually meet Heath a few years ago when Starmount played Swain County in the playoffs. Our good friend Paul Crowley set it up there, and so got to meet him, former congressman, and his coaching assistant coach at Christ, and they just won a state championship. So his son is a quarterback at Appalachian, a freshman this year. So he's still involved with a lot of stuff.
Absolutely. You mentioned Paul Crowley, old Soda Pop. He's one of the best, and always look forward to trips up to Bryson City to see him. We're almost done for the evening, but guys, we got a big day in high school sports tomorrow. The North Carolina High School Athletic Association is expected to release the conferences with the new realignment. It's brought up, I kind of mentioned it last week, that they're going back to 4 classifications, no subdividing, 25% across the board. More than just the ADMs went into it. They used the Pro Cup or the Wells Fargo Cup, however you want to, the NCHSAA Cup standings. They used a couple other different percentages to put these together. I know it's created a lot of buzz and a lot of energy and a lot of just conversations amongst coaches and athletic administrators. But tomorrow we should really find out even more with the release of the conferences. I'm told that there could be upwards of 50 split conferences. I don't know how true that is, but I think that there's a good possibility that we're going to see some split conferences. But Dina, I think we might have to do an unscheduled show and maybe kind of an impromptu show tomorrow, just so we can kind of come on and break down these new changes and kind of get some opinions and maybe get some coaches on board to kind of get their thoughts.
Well, we will have a lot of people with their thoughts. I mean, with Twitter and everything, you can find everybody's thoughts.
Yeah.
But topics like this, it brings good discussion, and you're going to have people that like it, and then you have some people that don't. We was talking before the show, and I'm kind of old school. I mean, when I was really involved in football, I enjoyed the four classes, and I know you, Chris. We in the media, we enjoyed sitting in Chapel Hill or Raleigh or wherever they're going to have it, and getting to watch the four state championships. Now we got 8, so we got to pick and choose if we want to go watch the games at Chapel Hill or Winston, Raleigh, or Durham, or a mixed match. I mean, I know I haven't, but with you and John Teal, I've seen y'all be in Winston for a game, and then if it's a big enough game in maybe in Raleigh or Chapel Hill, y'all would run over there and watch that game. And for football junkies, it was just nice spending like the weekend, and they had one on Friday night and then 3 on Saturday, and it was just basically, to me, football heaven.
Yeah, I agree. To answer this question for John Vestal, these new realignments and conferences would start this upcoming fall school year, so the 21-22 school year. Got a question here, a comment by Jake Milliken, coach over at Hickory. Y'all need to know line coach Chris, show some love to the big boys at different schools. Hey, we can do that. As the season gets closer, yeah, you're not going to be one of those big boys, Jack. Sorry about that, bro.
My dad's a no line coach right now, so.
So yeah, we'll do that. Coach, I know we got a few coaches that are logged on listening, because some of you are texting me and telling me if there's any coaches that think that would like to come on tomorrow and give your thoughts. Shoot me a message. We can make that happen. I'm not sure what time we'll come on tomorrow. I don't know what time those numbers will come out, probably during the lunchtime hour. But let's just go ahead and kind of plan on tomorrow late afternoon or early evening. We'll get back on here and talk about these conferences and just kind of talk about the realignment in general. I think that should make for a good show. That's kind of where I stand. And, I don't want to speculate on it because, we haven't seen it yet, but we'll have a better idea of what it looks like tomorrow. Wrapping up the show, guys, Chelsea, again, on basketball work, you guys, you just spot on with your interviews. I appreciate what you do. Any big plans this weekend? Are you looking forward to the holidays, Chelsea?
I am. Got some lacrosse practices coming up, so I look forward to those. It's kind of like the highlight outside of school, something different.
Absolutely. We look forward to seeing that. We got one more great job tonight, folks. Thanks, John. We appreciate you. Jack, what's up on the agenda? Obviously, I'm sure you're going to want to come back tomorrow if we put a show together. You're not required, but I'm sure you'll probably want to. But anything coming up for you? Anything cool to tell the world?
I was just going to say tomorrow, probably a top 3 player in North Carolina, Jonas Adu, 7-footer, commits. He's down to 10 schools. I'm going to try to remember them. NC State, Kansas, Tennessee, Houston, South Carolina, Miami, Wake Forest, Providence, Marquette. Oh, and there's one more that I'm thinking of, but he's committing the 10th, and then Jamari Thomas from the Burlington school is committing the 15th. I talked to him. Right now, the 5 schools that have really been recruiting him the hardest are North Carolina A&T, Eastern Kentucky, UNCW, Stetson, and Winthrop. So those are the 5 schools to look at for him. So Jonas Adu the 10th tomorrow, and then Jamari Thomas the 15th. They're both committing.
Cool. Dina, any final words for you? I wanted to throw out there for you. I know your Starmount book, The History at Starmount High School. I know that's about ready. I think you might get it in this week. I know you're really excited about it, and I hope to get a copy. I need to send you some money so I can get a copy as well, just to add to my big bookshelf of historical items over here next to me. But any copies you're going to have left, I guess, is the first question, and anything else you want to give us a final word on, Dina?
Well, I feel like Christmas tomorrow because they're supposed to arrive tomorrow sometime, FedEx. So yeah, I'll have some copies for sale. I've had a lot of Starmount folks reach out and pre-order this, so I've got plenty. I'll have some for sale for the public. Got to set up some meetup days where people can come by and pick up their copies. So, but I'm really happy, and I hope fans will enjoy it. And when I get something on my mind, it just goes. And so I did finally remember who the kid I was talking about. It's Alex Klein, and he is now with New York Knicks. So he started his own basketball recruiting thing and led to a tournament, and now he's working in the NBA. So follow your dreams. And he's 20. I think he's 26 years old, and he started this like when he was like 15 or so. So
cool.
Another
Good friend.
Jack and Chelsea. Jack and Chelsea. You see what you can do.
That's right. I see our good friend Jeff Banner up at Statesville High School. Jeff's a good guy. I've met him several times. He's ready for some high school football. And Jeff, what you do for the historical stuff, especially with your Greyhounds and your love for them, is very admirable. I love the passion you put in football. So we appreciate you, sir. John, again, Star Mountain Love. Looking forward to getting his copy. Hey, got a lot of Rams fans out there. That's it for the show tonight. Any Chelsea, Jack, I guess any final words?
It's going to be a great week, and the show tomorrow, I'm not sure because I have practice from now on. I'm going to have practices early tomorrow. So I have
practice.
I got practice from 3. I got practice from 3 to 4:30 tomorrow. So
practice. We're just talking about practice.
Yeah. So yeah. Hopefully I will. If time allows, I'll hopefully be able to make the show tomorrow.
All right, good job, guys. Hey, well, I had a request from somebody. They wanted me to play this intro one more time, so we'll play it on the way out so some of you guys can see it. If any of you guys are hanging out on the back end, I'll say hey to you one more time. But for Dina and Jack and Chelsea and for Tally and Brianna, who couldn't make it on here tonight, we appreciate all you guys joining us here on ncpreps.com, NC Preps Live. And we're going to play this intro one more time for you on the way out. But you guys have a good evening. I imagine we'll be seeing you tomorrow night to talk some conferences and some realignment stuff. So, again, for the NC Preps crowd, I'm Chris, and I appreciate y'all, and we'll catch you later. Rockin' in St. Louis.